Hi, it's me, your Void, and I'm doing this thing again where I film the intro after everything else, and we just pretend that this happened at the beginning of the month. I'm not even going to pretend that I don't know what this video is about, because the video is basically almost completely edited, so I know exactly how my month went, but you have to experience that for your own. So have fun with this way too long wrap up of a tiny part of the things I read in July. See you in like 45 minutes, I don't know. I hope that I'm not dropping this on my face. First update of this wrap up, I finished the biggest book on this TBR, which is Metro 2033 by Dmitry Glukhovksy. That's his name, right? Yeah. What the fuck did you make me read, Levy? Like, I read the first 100 pages and I thought, this is some needless world building. Like, the first 100 pages is literally just the whole history of the metro system of Moscow. Not even in the context of this setting, which is like post-apocalypse and zombies and radioactivity and shit. It's just the history of the metro system of Moscow for 100 pages. And then sprinkled in is some weird story about shit that happened while people were living in the metro, right? That's just the first 100 pages. And I read those and I was like, oh my god, if this is an 800-page book. I give it 200 pages. If a book is that big, I give it 200 pages to get me, because there's probably a lot of world building that has to go on. But I was not expecting this to be front-loaded the way it was. Like, it felt like sitting in a lecture hall and people tell you about the intricacies of the metro system in Moscow. So I sat with it and I was like, okay, cool. I will make it to page 200 tomorrow. Let's see where this goes. And I was so ready to DNF at page 100. I was so convinced that by page 200 I will lose any and all interest and it's just going to be a DNF. And then I just sat with it. Like, at the end of page 200, like around page 200, something actually interesting happened. Just interesting enough to keep me going. And I kept reading. And by page 300, I should have DNF'd. I should have DNF'd, but I just kept going. I was pretty much like the main character in this book. I just kept going for no particular reason. We follow this boy. He's like in his early 20s, I think. He's like around 25 or something. And his name is Artyom. And Artyom lives at this one metro station that is like one of the final frontiers of mankind, because his station is like right at the gate to hell or something. Like, there are monsters right outside his doors. And his station is basically holding down the fort for everyone who is like in the center. I can actually show you, because there is a very confusing map at the beginning of the book. One second. So this is the map, right? And Artyom lives up here in the Vedenja. And as you can see, there's like radioactive and biohazard. And this means there's like some mental bullshittery going on, because shit mutated and now certain things have like superpowers or something. And he lives here. And this one is the evil place. This is the evil place, and things from the evil place come here and they shoot back. And as you can see, they keeping down the fort up here, because all of this is inhabited by military and librarians, by fascists, Nazis. It's a whole thing. We start up here and get a whole history of this place, but strangely enough, the whole history we get of this place has nothing to do with what actually happened to force people down here. All we get is there was a war, period. There was a war, and now the world is uninhabitable except when you are downstairs in the metro. That is all you get. And then one day, an old friend of Artyom's stepfather comes into this station and is like, okay, cool, what bullshit is going on? This bullshit is going on, okay, cool. And his name is Hunter. And Hunter is what is called a stalker. And a stalker is basically a person who is equipped and trained to go upstairs into the nuclear wasteland and get shit from upstairs. And they are also like fighting the monsters to keep the metro safe or something. And Hunter is like, okay, I'm here to deal with shit. And he gives Artyom, for some reason, there is no reason that he talks to Artyom in the first place, but for some some reason, he gives Artyom this thing that is basically like a failsafe, and it says, hey, if I don't make it back by tomorrow morning, you haul your ass to the middle, like the middle thing that I showed you, where like the police, the military, and the librarians is. Hunter tells Artyom, if I'm not back by morning, go there. And he makes Artyom promise. And then, of course, by the next morning, Hunter is nowhere to be seen. He's actually never to be seen ever again, because we don't need him anymore. That is a repeating pattern. So Artyom's like, okay, cool, I gotta go. So he makes his way down to this police library station thing. That's half of this book. Him just getting there. And on his way, he meets weird people, and he meets a lot of assholes, and we get a description of so many people and of so many stations, like metro stations, and they are pretty much all the same, except that apparently everyone has their own culture at this point, even though they're like only hundreds of meters away from each other. Like, it's weird. And all of these people are they all have philosophies they want to share, they have a bunch of religions and ideologies, and they all freely share them with Artyom for no fucking reason. Like, at the beginning of the book, he literally starts out with like, oh no, how will I get there? Like, to this place, because I know absolutely no one outside of home. He never left home. He never went further than 300 meters away from home. And now he's doing all of this shit and he's just walking. This is a travel simulator. This is 800 pages of road tripping, or like train tripping, but he's not using a train, he's walking. And he meets these weird people, and like he meets people who can like see in the future, who can divine shit from their dreams. I don't know. And this boy has all of the plot armor because a bunch of shit happens to him, but the worst injury he takes is a black eye. That's the worst thing that happened to him. He was tortured and all he got was a black eye. Like, the plot armor is strong in this one because every person he meets dies. Every person he meets dies except him. So don't get attached to any of the characters. I thought Khan, the first major character we meet outside of his home, Khan was such an interesting character. He just wanders off and is never to be seen again. Hunter wanders off, never to be seen again. That happens with every single character, be they interesting or not. There are so many characters in here, and not one of them is important. Maybe Melnick towards the end. He survives, but he too is off screen by the end of the book. So who knows what's happening to him. I did not like this book. This also ends in an ending that is not an ending. Like the one thing that would hint at a plot happens in the last 5 pages when Artyom realizes something. And it's basically the reason why he did all of this. And it's basically telling him, like, multiple times in this book where it was like, why am I doing this? And then he kept doing it anyway. And then by the end, we get a motivation for him, but it turns out it's not his motivation, it's someone else's motivation. They basically drove him to do all of this. And then he realizes that and he's like, yeah, fuck that. And then he goes home. He just goes home. So all of this is basically for nothing. No. I can see why they made a video game out of that, because this actually reads like you would play a video game. Like walking from A to B, meeting all these NPCs you don't care about, getting items, losing items, getting items, losing items, choosing the wrong dialogue option. There's literally, like, when Artyom is being tortured, it literally feels like you have to play through like a dialogue thing where you have to pick the right dialogue option to get out of it. And the first 100 pages especially, like, I hate the first 100 pages. The first 100 pages especially read like when you start a new video game and you get the opening cinematic and then you have to play through the tutorial and then you check out the map. That is what the first 100 pages feel like, and everything after that is just a video game. And this book kind of reads like you are following, like you are in the perspective of the video game character that is being played. Like, you are the video game character that is being played, but you don't know that you are a video game character and that someone is doing inputs on their controller to get you to do things. That is how this reads. This is like a book from the perspective of a video game character who is not self-aware enough to realize they are a video game character. I actually, like, if you read this, you might actually get the feeling that the video game came before the book and they turned the video game into a book. The book is 8 years older than the video game. I checked that. The book is also taking itself very serious. Like, in the beginning, there is a quote, right? There's a quote. One is from like just a manual on the of the Moscow Metro. Fine. The other one is a quote of Khan, not Genghis Khan, but from the character Khan. And that very quote shows up at the end again, as if that is some weird, great insight into the human condition, I guess. But it's not. It is basically just it's basically just a new version of the if you stare long enough into the abyss eventually stares back at you. Like that one, but make it sound pretentious. That's the quote. I was promised radioactive zombies, and I didn't get those. I did not get a single radioactive zombie. Instead, I got Nazis. Literal Nazis. Like there's something in here called the Fourth Reich. They are literally Nazis. But because they live in Moscow, and the demographic in Moscow is a certain way, they are not racist against black people. They are racist against people with black hair. No. No. Just no. Why did I read all 700 pages of this shit? Why? What has my life become? Levy, I love you, but I hate you for making me read this book. Downsides of buzzing my hair are starting to show. I finished another book. Well, book. After reading all of Metro 2033 for no particular reason, I decided I needed an easy win, so I picked up Kirsty's pick for me, which was My Hero Academia Volume 1. Sometimes I forget that people are not like in the sphere of what anime and what manga is big right now, so I'm like, yeah, everyone knows what My Hero Academia is about. Let me tell you what it is about anyways. This is a rather stereotypical shonen manga, you know, action-packed, usually aimed at boys, that kind of stuff. And it felt very much like coming home to this because I was an avid shonen manga reader when I was the age people read shonen mangas, like between age 14 and like 18. I was consuming so many shonen manga. And this one is giving the exact same feel, and I realized it's been a hot second since I read just stupid action shit. And this one definitely gave this to me. In this one, we follow Izuku, this guy. He was born in a world where people have superpowers. I think it's like, it says 80% or something. Pretty much the whole world has superpowers. Problem being, Izuku is not one of them. Izuku is one of the minority of people who don't have superpowers, and that is very heartbreaking for him because all he ever wanted to be is a superhero, which is like the new cool job people want to have because of all the superpowers. The number of people with superpowers increased, so the number of super crime increased, so then people were like, let's do what the comic heroes do and just become a hero, and now that's an actual job. So everyone wants to be a hero, and Izuku wants to be a hero specifically. He wants to be like his idol All Might. Problem being, Izuku doesn't have any superpowers, and we start this story by following Izuku at like the last couple of days of his middle school experience, and he's about to hit high school. And when you hit high school, there are high schools for superheroes, and he really desperately wants to go to the one big school that is producing superheroes left, right, and center. And he's getting bullied at school because he doesn't have powers, and then one day he just does something that can be seen as heroic. He's not thinking about his own life, he's just rushing in to help someone, and All Might sees that. And All Might's like, okay, I'm gonna make a hero out of you. Not quite like Mulan, but I'm gonna make a hero out of you. And then it turns out that All Might, his superpower can actually be transferred. So he says, okay, listen, I saw what you did, you have the makings of a hero, I'm going to train you, and if you reach a certain threshold where you can hold on to my superpower, I'm giving you my superpower. And in this first volume, that is what we see. We see Izuku being bullied at school, helping someone, All Might training him, and then giving him the superpowers. And then Izuku uses these superpowers, he has no idea how to use these superpowers, but he's using them to get into the school he desperately wants to go in, where he is then confronted with people who have been training since they got their superpowers at age 4, and teachers who are very much looking for the creme de la creme. So he, as someone who has no idea how to control his superpowers, now has to somehow survive school again. And that's all that happens in here. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I was actually surprised, and then 2020 hindsight, I actually liked that it was that way. This one, like, the manga seems to move a lot faster than the anime. I have seen the anime before. I think I watched the first season after season 3 came out or something like that. I don't know. I watched the anime first. It has been a hot second since I watched the anime, so I knew what was happening, like what kind of events happened in what order. But the anime does it very slow compared to this manga. Like, we are going from the point of origin, like Izuku goes to school and gets bullied. We go all the way until the costume change. If you know, you know. There's a lot of shit that happens in between. Like the Izuku getting bullied is like 7,000 episodes. Izuku training is like 7,000 episodes. And then the whole school initiation thing is also 7,000 episodes. Because it's like an epic fight and shit. And this is all in a singular volume. Also the tryouts that Aizawa is doing at the end. Like it's all in here. That was kind of surprising that there's so much packed in like 200 pages. The pleasantly surprised part comes in. I was kind of bored from the training sequence in the beginning of the anime. Like, the anime really got me once they were in class. Not even the first initiation thing where they fight these robots and shit. No, the anime got me once we were actually, like, class in session. The anime got me at the costume change. That is when the anime, like, grabbed me. Technically, it grabbed me the second I saw Aizawa on the floor bullying his students, but that's a whole different thing. So having all of the boring bits in one volume is amazing. I also did a little impulse thing and picked up volume 2, and I actually think I might want to read volume 2, like, right away. I'm making no promises here, but I think I want to pick up volume 2 right away. Just because I can. There's not a lot I have to read in this month, so why not, you know? But yeah, Kirsty, you hit the mark. Way better than Levy. You hit the mark. This is acceptable. I gave this 3.5, 3.75 stars. It is me again. I have finished another book. Finished Flawless by Elsie Silver. This one was picked for me by James. Reasoning that it is very basic bitch and amazing, and I don't want to agree, but I kind of have to agree. The problem with this is I don't know what to think about it, because on the one hand there are glaring issues. There are so many things in here that I just don't like. There are so many things in here where I know that I don't like them. When I see them in any other romance, 90% of the time I'm like, fuck you, DNF, and move on. But I didn't with this one. It seems to be the month of me regretting decisions to reading the books I should have DNF'd. But the thing is, I don't regret not DNFing this. Because I don't know what is in here. But I kept on reading and I kept on being entertained. Like, there are so many issues. On page 100, I should have been bored. On page 200, I should have been ready to DNF. I read all of this. I inhaled it, pretty much. This is your regular, normal-ass romance. So I guess James was correct with the, like, basic bitch romance aspect. I mean, yeah, I'm in my basic bitch era. Ugh. Why? I don't understand why I liked it so much. What is in here? What kind of witchery? What the fuck? So what is this about? So in Flawless, we follow two people falling in love. Who would have thunken? One of them is Summer, and Summer works for her dad at like this PR firm, I think it is, an agency. I don't know. They handle a bunch of people with a lot of money and a public persona. That's what she does. She's her dad's assistant, and her dad has a client that is Red. And Red is a professional bull rider. He proclaimed to the world that he doesn't like milk, and then he decked the paparazzi in the face. So now there's like a PR nightmare going on. But it's also like championship time, and some sponsors are like, are we wanting to finance this guy? Blah, blah, blah. So Summer's dad is like, you are going to babysit him. And she's like, and Red is like, So yeah, glued together for a couple of weeks where she is trying to fix his PR nightmare that he has created. So she's sticking around to make sure that he behaves and blah blah blah, and Red is known as a womanizer, and Summer is very straightforward and blah, and these characters clash and then they fall in love, and that is literally it. That is the whole plot. It's just these two people stuck together and then they fall in love. Very basic bitch, right? The way it is written doesn't make this any less basic than the description I just gave you is. It's getting very dark. What the fuck? Let me put on the lights. Yeah, basic bitch plot and writing that is not making it any better. It is in its very essence basic bitch, and yet like there is literally nothing I can highlight for you that makes this book different from any other romance. The smut is good, kind of vanilla for my taste, but it's good smut. It's not overwhelming in the whole story. The banter is nice. The supporting cast, nice. As with all romance series, you can tell who is going to be the dateable characters. You, and you. We have a set of brothers. That's where it starts, and then one of the brothers has a best friend. Like, you can tell. You can tell who's going to be the dateables. I was okay with the characters. Red is a lot more sympathetic than Summer. Like, Summer was a bit bitchy at times. Some parts I could understand, other parts I was like, why are we bitchy on purpose? The one thing I really didn't like, I have to highlight this one, the one thing I really didn't like was the third act breakup. Because the third act breakup, in my opinion, comes too late. If you want to do a third act breakup, especially the way you did it in this one, you need time for the characters to resolve that. The third act breakup happens on page 308. Why do I know this so precisely? Because I was sitting on that page for a hot second, because I wanted to read something else in the meantime, which I did, because it's summer read and all things, so I'm reading a couple of things parallel to each other. By the way, watch my submarine vlog if you want to have even more ranting of me. So I stopped at page 308, that's the end of a chapter, and literally chapter 27 is when the breakup happens. Chapter 27 is when a breakup happens, you heard it here first. And the third act breakup happens on chapter 27, page 308, 309. The book only has 397 pages, so they have 90 pages to resolve the issue that caused this breakup. And in my opinion, that is not enough time in the book. The book actually started rushing. The last 90 pages cover, I think, about 2 weeks of time. And we know from the text that for at least 1 week, if not both of those 2 weeks, these characters are not talking to each other. And we go from a "you broke my trust, I don't want to talk to you anymore," to "I love you," in these 2 weeks of not communicating at all with each other. That kind of bugged me. Maybe it hit harder because I read like basically 300 pages all in one go. Basically, I did it like in 2.5 days. Then had a break of 3 days to read something else, and then read the last 90 pages. Maybe that is enhancing the whole thing because I hit this breakup arc so perfectly. Maybe that makes it worse, maybe not, I don't know. But in my opinion, if you don't communicate with someone 2 weeks, that is not what fixes a trust issue that runs so deep. It just doesn't. Also, why is everyone so chill about a doctor grooming a minor who is also in said doctor's care for heart issues? Why is no one caring about that? Everyone is really chill. Even the guy who is the least chill about all of this is kind of chill about it. So what the fuck? I was thoroughly entertained. And I cannot tell you why. And yes, I actually think about picking up the other books because Red's brothers just seem to be interesting people. That means James is now 3 in 1, I think, for recommendations. 1 was bad, 3 were good. I gave this one 3.5 stars, I believe. Because I was entertained, but I couldn't name why. That's why it didn't get 4 stars, because I was like, I can name all the issues, but I can't name why I like this book so much. So, 3.5 it is. That means for my official TBR, I only have 1 book left, which is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, recommended to me by Jess from This Kiwi. And as you can see, I already started it. I'm 25% in, and I'm not talking about this book before I finish it. Just gonna have to wait approximately 0.2 seconds because I'm ending this clip here. I'm sorry, Jess, but I'm going to DNF Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. It's not because it's bad or anything, it's not because I hate it, it's just... I had the same problem with The House in the Cerulean Sea. It's just boring. The book is too long for what it is trying to do, in my opinion. I tried, I'm 60% in. I'm just... I'm just not feeling it. This book is a cozy romance, or it's supposed to be a cozy romance, so there's not going to be a lot of plot. I expected that, especially because the characters, like in the house in the Cerulean Sea, are very much bound to a single building, so there isn't a lot going on. That's kind of the point, that it is a slower atmosphere. And given that this is a cozy romance, I know what the plot is. I know there's not a lot going to happen, and I know that what is going to happen is that two of these characters, and in this case I know which characters, because of course you do, are going to fall in love. Where this thing loses me is the fact that in a romance, the characters need to carry the story, because there's not a lot of plot that can do that for you. And I hate the characters. I feel very indifferent about them. Apollo is a cute dog, but he's a dog. He's going to run around, be cute and shit. He's not going to have any impact on anything. Grandpa Nelson, he's cool. He's a sass queen, I like him. But his only function is to explain how to be a ghost to Wallace. And the main characters of the story are Wallace and Hugo. Those are the people falling in love. And I just don't care about them. Hugo is just a human-shaped fortune cookie with some hobby psychology stuff going on who likes tea. And Wallace is a guy who has zero character. He was a lawyer, was a dick, then he died, and now he learns how not to be a dick. But all he does is copy Nelson. He's only doing what Nelson tells him to do in order to manage how to be a ghost. And he has conversations with Hugo, so Hugo can be his fortune cookie self. So that is not really interesting. These characters do not carry the story, which is a problem in a romance where there is no plot otherwise. I have the audiobook for this. I am listening to the audiobook while I'm reading this, and I'm just bored. I am bored to death. And given that I had the exact same issues with House in the Cerulean Sea, I am now comfortable stating that TJ Klune is not an author for me. TJ Klune is not an author for me. Which is sad, because I like the concepts. Like, the concept of this one is strong, but nah. I'm DNFing at 60%. I'm moving on with my life. I have better things to read. Things that are interesting, either bad or good. But I literally have no feelings about this. I could not care less about anything about this. Sorry, Jazz. It is I again, me in my favorite hoodie. I have finished 2 more things in terms of reading, which was at first a quick graphic novel arc I was given to by NetGalley, simply because I needed something that I can finish quickly and that is not breaking my brain out of A, boredom, or B, because it's like the most thrilling thriller to have ever thrilled. And that's why I picked up the Dracula Brunch Club by, I forgot the author's name, which is technically aimed at children, but I would actually say you can read it as an adult because it's just stupid fun. It's a graphic novel, and in this one you follow Dracula, and Dracula is a pastry chef of like the highest renown. He just came back from like a world tour where he took his jelly donuts around the world to get so many trophies, and now he returns back to Transylvania, and in Transylvania things have changed in the last 6 months where he wasn't there. First and foremost, an old enemy, I guess, moved back in and took over his brunch club. So now all the vampires go to that guy's brunch club, and apparently it's very boring and blah, and there's a lot of new vampires around, and they are all following that guy, and that guy is like old and conservative and is of the opinion vampires are not allowed to mix with humans, whereas Dracula and his dad have fostered for decades to just mingle because humans are just vampires during the day and they can eat food. We can be happy neighbors, right? So Dracula is like, that's kind of stupid. I need to change that. And he came back home, so now he wants to do all these things with his friends, some of which are human. And a lot of these things are like, he wants to prepare one of those brunch clubs. He also promised a girl he apparently has a crush on to donate some of his world-renowned jelly donuts for like a charity auction that she's hosting. So a lot of people depend on him and his ability to make these jelly donuts. Problem being, the crops were bad in the last 6 months, and there's no more jelly around. Even the jelly he sent home from his travels has gone missing, and that is kind of a problem because the blood orange jelly is what gives vampires their energy. Like, it's not blood, it's blood orange jelly. So with that stuff missing, everyone is like a bit lethargic, everyone is just completely without energy to do anything. And Dracula tries A, to fix the brunch thing where vampires and humans can just coexist in a friendly space, and B, he's trying to figure out where the fuck the jelly went because he needs to make all of these jelly donuts and he can't make that. It's just so silly. Like, it's funny in this very silly, almost juvenile way, but there's also some very clever wordplay in there with especially the well-known horror tropes you know about vampires, like, for example, the blood orange jelly. It's just so good. It was so funny. It was such a lighthearted read. It was exactly what I needed to just palate cleanse for a bit. I gave that one 4 stars. I loved it. If you want a graphic novel that's just a funny little palate cleanser, go for it, really. It is marketed towards children, but I actually think you can get something out of it even if you're not 10 years old or anything. Like, it's that funny. And it's that solid of a read. And the other thing I read, because then I actually was in the mood for a more thrilling read, is The Risk by S.T. Abbey. Stabby. Which is the first book in the Mindfuck series, which is kind of low-key famous for A, being a really good version of smutty Criminal Minds, basically, and B, there is a fucking plane coming in, and B, because of the whole drama surrounding the author. It's not an author's behaving badly. They did not turn out to be a total dick. They just died. S.T. Abbey apparently died in a car accident or something. Some people actually theorized there was some domestic violence involved. It's a whole kerfuffle. All I know is the author died, and in connection with what they wrote, that people started theorizing about it. It's whack. Anyway, The Risk by S.T. Abbey is a novella, 1 of 5, and I think there were more planned, but then again the author died. And in The Risk we follow an FBI agent. He is a profiler, and he is profiling serial killer cases. And we follow a serial killer who is going down a list of people who have done something very, very bad to her and her brother in the past, and she's working through that list and is technically serial killing. So she lands on the watch list, of course, of the FBI, and her case actually lands on the FBI agent's desk, and he is working on that case. And one day they just walk into each other in a coffee shop, and there's an instant spark there, and they start flirting, and then eventually they start dating, and both of them think they have found their person. Now, she, the serial killer, knows that he, the FBI guy, is working on catching serial killers. She does not know that he is working on her case. He is working on all of these cases, and he does not know that she is a serial killer. Do you see the issues here? I like this one as well. I gave it 4 stars as well. There's a couple of things where I'm a bit nitpicky, because we focus more on the relationship of the FBI agent and the serial killer, followed by a focus on her killing people. We don't follow him and his work. We do see him at work, we do see him working, but we never really dive into these cases. These cases are only mentioned because when he's in the office, he is thinking about the next date he can have with her. And when they are together, they talk about his cases. So there's a clear focus on her killing people and on the relationship between the two, not so much on his cases. And I guess in order to make this a novella, works fine. But I am a Criminal Minds fan. I watched all of Criminal Minds multiple times, so I would like to see more of those cases, you know? I don't know. That's legitimately me just nitpicking things. Again, I know it's a novella, so you have to cut some things out to not make it a full novel. Although I would not say no to a full novel, you know? But yeah, I had fun. I was entertained, especially after falling in love with Butcher and Blackbird. It's the same vein. Just yes. I need so much more of this specific genre. I am now fully in my serial killer romance era. I need I need more. I will definitely read the other 4. I have the whole Mindfuck series, so I will definitely read the other 4 novellas. And I really desperately hope it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, because this first novella, does end on a cliffhanger. Be aware. I finished another book. Yay me. Why else would I be here? I'm talking about Record of a Spaceborn Few by Becky Chambers, which is the third book in the Wayfarers series. There is not much I can say about it. The one thing I can say about it is that it is definitely not my favorite entry in the series, simply because nothing happens. But that is kind of the thing with the Wayfarers books. Not a lot happens in those. They are more like slices of life. But the life is very interesting compared to just human life, because it is in outer space and there are aliens and everything. And this time around we are in... I think it's just a single ship we are in, but we are in the Accident Fleet, which is the big thing that mankind did when we killed Earth. We just plonked onto these generational ships and left. And at one point, this whole fleet was picked up by aliens who knew tech and space better than humans did. So there's like this whole cultural exchange going on between these societies and the original human society, and at this point where this book takes place, all of this has kind of assimilated, but a lot of people are still with this Accident Fleet because of their culture. And this Accident Fleet works in ways that are very different to everything else we've seen in the Wayfarers universe so far. Like, we have seen just life in general on spaceships in book 1, which was the long way to a small and angry planet, and we have seen planet-side life for people in close and common orbit. That's it. So now we are seeing where mankind, humans, come from, which is this Accident Fleet. And we follow multiple characters. One of them is an archive keeper person, and she is currently hosting an alien scientist who is interested in seeing the culture of this Accident Fleet. So we get explanations of like the bigger things surrounding the Accident Fleet, the history, the culture, how everything evolved, how it's maintained and set up and shit. We get that from that perspective. We follow Sawyer, who is a human who was born somewhere and grew up somewhere and now is doing like a cultural exchange program, kind of, where he goes to the Accident Fleet to see where his ancestors come from, and he has so many problems because he has no idea how the Accident Fleet works. We also follow Kip, who is a teenager in the Accident Fleet. He grew up there and now he's doing teenager bullshit mistakes while growing up on the fleet. And we also follow Tessa, and she is a mom on the Accident Fleet, so she has her work. She also has her father, I think it is, who she kind of needs to take care of. She has children she needs to take care of, so we see the everyday life of an adult. And she is also the connection to the rest of the Wayfarers because she is the sister of the captain of the spaceship in the first book. So we just follow these people in their day-to-day life in this Accident Fleet, and it's not a very interesting life, in my opinion. As a cultural anthropologist, I was able to appreciate all of the world building that happened in there and the way the cultures just mingled, because as we all know, humans have vastly different cultures, and I think that is very beautiful, but a lot of people hate each other because they have different cultures. It's a whole thing I'm not going to get into. So seeing all of that was very interesting, but nothing happened. There is no big plot, and that is kind of sad-ish, because in we get like a prologue where one of these ships in this Accident Fleet gets completely annihilated because there was a faulty hatch or something, so there was a rapid decompression and the whole thing exploded. Hundreds, if not thousands of people instantly died, and I thought the rest of the book would explore the trauma of losing such a ship, of losing so many families and resources, but we didn't. The only thing we got was that one of Tessa's children is old enough to, like, she was old enough to recognize what happened when it happened, and now she has some residual trauma. Like, she doesn't like to go outside, she doesn't like to go near the hatches and stuff, and she gets bullied for that in school. But that is kind of all we get from that. No one actually, like, deals with the trauma of having lost so many integral parts of your own society, because all of these people are such a close-knit community. That was a bit kind of a letdown that we didn't deal with that, and instead we follow all these people doing their day-to-day life. And I mean, yeah, it's a cozy sci-fi story, but it was a bit too cozy, kind of. In The Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet, we have some issues going on here and there, and the characters, they butt heads and everything because they're stuck on the spaceship for a year. And in A Close and Common Orbit, we have, again, characters who butt heads because one of them is experiencing physical existence for the first time. And we get flashbacks to the traumatic past of one of the other characters. Like, there's things that are actually happening. And in Record of a Spaceborn Few, it is not. There's just nothing happening. It's just people living their lives and making mistakes and figuring shit out, and it's just, it wasn't really attention grabbing. It's still 4 stars because, again, the culture, the world building, the characters themselves are very interesting. It's just that nothing was happening, and I'm not someone who enjoys reading books where nothing is happening. I need shit to happen. You know? Yeah. So yeah, I finished Record of a Spaceborn Few. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I wasn't expecting to read it at all, so just another read, I guess. Hi, it's me again. Did you enjoy my rambling about things? So as you now know, this month was interesting, to say the least. And you only saw a fraction of what I read in the past month, because I also have a Summerween vlog in which I review all the things that I read for Summerween. So you should definitely check that out. And I also have a vlog coming up with even more things that I read this month, which made this whole month an experience. I don't even know, like, it was very weird, kind of. Like, it felt very weird. There were very high highs and very low lows this month, so it's kind of all over the place for me now. This is the part where I hold up a surprisingly small amount of books for you to see. This is not representing the number of things that I read this month. This is just the physical manifestation I have. The rest was ebooks. In total, I read 12 books. This is 4. So I'm holding up a third of what I actually read. And this one will be in the vlog that is still coming. And sometimes I can hold it in one hand without issues. That is weird, given the amount of things that I read this month. Anyway, I gotta go back to editing this video so you can actually see this thing. And yeah, if you made it this far into the video, let me know what you read in July, what was your favorite read in July, what was the thing that you hated the most that you read this month, because I certainly have opinions on that. And if you don't want to talk to me for whatever reason, then leave a summary emoji down in the comments to let me know that you still made it through this way too long wrap up. And I guess I see you in the next video. Bye.